Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the world's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've got one for you today. A lady who's been around, well, my entire life, really. She is the star who shot to fame at 16 years old when she went to be an actress, ended up being, well, one of the most loved, adored and famous women of her generation. And of course, this year is back on Celebrity Big Brother with her new single coming out, new album and new book. It's nice to talk to Sam Fox. How are you?
I'm very well. I sound very busy, don't I?
You are. This is the thing about you, and I should reveal this early on. I'm a deeply unattractive man. What is it like being delicious?
Well, I taste very nice. What's it like to be this? I'm very thankful that, as we were going by this, I was born this way. I'm just very thankful and, growing up, I was pretty insecure, like a lot of young girls, and I never thought I was really that desirable. And as you get older, and then you appear in the newspapers, and you get thousands of, letters and emails a week, you think, oh my God, yeah. Sometimes it still don't sink in that, I'm a desirable woman, which is really nice, of course. If you asked any woman or man, would you like to be desirable or not, I guess they'd say yeah.
Well, of course, because it's such a blessing and people do treat you differently. Let's face it, we all like to be around nice people, and if they happen to be attractive as well, that's a blessing.
I don't like people treating me differently, though, I must say. I think that's why I'm still around in the business. That I don't think I've ever come across as a big-headed girl or a diva or, oh, I love myself. I'm still pretty down to earth and just feel blessed. And when people say, oh, you're pretty or you're beautiful, I still get really embarrassed and shy, which I think's, a good thing.
I think what is your great appeal from a male point of view, growing up with you, I'm 36, so it's obvious that you were around when I was going through, let's call it puberty. You had that girl next door thing. You were the epitome of that. And I think that was because you were always very real. I look at Kate Moss. I never fancied her because she seemed to be totally in a different world to me. It's interesting, isn't it, how you choose a path?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've always been attracted to people I think that could be mine. Or if when I was younger and put pin-ups on my wall, it was always the people that I felt I had, an affinity with, or that I could feel comfortable with.
Right. Can you ever remember not being famous?
Yeah, of course. When I was dreaming off to be famous.
But most of your life has been in the public eye, hasn't it, really?
Yeah. Even when I was, let's say, from the age of 5, I went to acting school called Anna Scher, which was all the Grange Hill kids went there, Pauline Quirk, Phil Daniels. Let's say, I don't know if a lot of people remember the film Bugsy Malone.
Yeah.
Most of the stars in that movie were from my drama school, and I just joined, so that was the reason I joined that school. I went to see that film so many times, and I thought, oh, I've got to go to that school. They're all working class, Cockney kids, and it wasn't like RADA or Sylvia Young, where you went there every day and did your schooling as well. You had to pass an audition and get in there, and you went 3 nights after school and all day Saturday. So from an early age, it's just always been there with me. I think that was the question. I went on and on a bit there.
No, yeah, it's fascinating. I could talk to you all day about this stuff because the early years, I think, define your later years, don't they?
Yeah, well, of course, modelling was quite a big shock, really. There was a competition. It said that it was nothing to do with page 3. It was a face and shape, it was. It was about girls with a great shape and a great face, and the pictures were fully clad. And I came second in that, which makes me feel better now, because lots of the X Factor people, whoever comes second does really well, don't they?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
And the Sun saw my picture, and they gave me a 4-year contract, and I was like, wow, it's not going to just be a couple of page 3 pictures swept under the carpet later to regret. It was a 4-year contract, and I was exclusively their girl. But music was always my first love, and having my first band at like 15 after drama school, always singing. So it may have come to shock to some people, but for me it was always there, you know.
I did warm up on Loose Women for 2 years, and I used to stand at the side of that stage and wonder what's going on with women. It seems an interesting time now. I saw yesterday they'd got on Stephanie Davis, who'd farted and thought she was going into labour, and that's a 20-minute segment. Isn't it interesting?
Men love this show, and it's also much like I remember being on tour. Was it? Yeah, it was. Let's say, when did this happen? Yeah, a couple of years ago. I was on tour. And the front of the tour bus was magazines that I'd left there, like Cosmopolitan, Vogue, all the girls' magazines, like I Love Heat and Now and all these gossip stuff. And the boys were loving them. And they were reading, especially Cosmo, I remember, because there's always like women with problems in there. And all the band were reading them, and I thought, this is great. And then they would ask me questions, and they would be literally, you know, they'd be really interested. I think women love this show, right? Because we're nosy and we like to hear what girls have got to say. I also think men love this show. I do. I think it's a good show for men to get to know what women are really like.
Yeah, we want to try and understand you. But it's interesting how the contradictions on that show. I always loved working with Janet Street Porter, although she's formidable. On the one extreme, you've got her, then you've got Colin the other end. It's always interesting to me that on a birthday, they'll bring out two naked guys, and that's okay. But if, as a guy, I want to look at a naked woman, that's not okay. It's a curious sort of double standard.
It's okay. All you got to do is go on your computer.
Oh, I do regularly.
Go naked women. It's going to tell you it's not okay.
It's not the number one Google search for nothing, is it?
No, of course not. I think it's really good that women can get away with this stuff now. It's, you know, old shows with guys on, all talking, and the jokes they'd make about women and how, you know, men are so, or men are men and women are women. And look, that went on for a lot of years. It's about time there was a show with women on giving their opinions about men, and maybe men, as I said, can watch this sort of shows and learn by them.
Well, it's like we're getting to learn secrets we sometimes shouldn't know about, which is, of course, captivating.
No, there's definitely more to women that all men should know.
Yes.
We're quite difficult, really. And, we can be, that's why men love us, because we are difficult and you never know what to expect.
Well, somebody said to me once, arguing with a woman is like going through a revolving door on skis.
Listen, I've known a few men like that, okay?
I'm certainly one of them.
And they revolved, and they ended up, not skis, they ended up on a toboggan.
Did you ever feel judged in the business? Because you were such a powerful woman 30 years ago, and really, I mean, you were doing back then.
30 years ago. Listen, at 16, I wasn't a powerful woman.
Right.
No, not at 16.
Right.
I think you're probably saying maybe back in the 80s and 90s, when I became successful, I was a powerful, let's say, person in the public eye and in the media. I could sell products, I could sell newspapers. That makes you powerful.
Yeah, what a position.
16, no, not yet. It took a while. But I must express, 16 sounds 16. I was nearly like 2 months off of 17. And let's face it, a lot of kids, we can do things at 16 that are pretty, scary.
Right.
For the first time.
Yeah.
But for me it wasn't scary. I was nearly 17. I was very astute. I don't think my parents would ever have let me go into that business or that field. My sister, when she was 16, I don't think could have done that. But there's 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, and, we're all different. Going to drama school made me really grow up quick.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is a different community, isn't it? Those theatre schools do teach you a lot more about the world and people than any other college in the world, I suppose. And,
when you're doing plays or musicals, you are mixing with adults, not all kids your own age.
Yeah.
And then being in my first band at 15, we did gigs all over the country in schools. So we were like on the road, we were dealing with what we wanted backstage, what we wanted on stage, what kind of monitors we wanted, or amplifiers, and, you know, the whole technical side of things. So we had to be astute and very mature for our age.
And turn up on time. And I always say the more talented you are, the more disciplined you've got to be. If you don't turn up on time, you're not going to last very long, are you?
Yeah, I would say that 50% of the business is being professional and being good at what you do and not being lazy. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, we've all got to be talented in what we do, but there's a lot of talented people, believe you me, that have passed along my way in all my 33 years that I've watched the way they've worked, and I've looked at them and thought, no, you're not going to last 5 minutes. And that's been true.
How do you feel about what goes on with the Katie Prices in the world? They've made empires out of selling their image, and now it's books and TV and it's horses and this and that.
What you've got to do.
That's
it's like,
to survive.
You know, the glamour industry is almost like being a footballer. You know, it's short. You know, it doesn't last forever. And when you've got it, you've got to grab it by the horns and you've got to go for it. And if people are offering you clotheslines, cream lines, whatever it is, because you are popular at that time and you've got lots of fans, you've got to go for it because it's not going to last forever.
What is interesting, though, some 25, 30 years since you started, you're still here, and we saw you this year in Celebrity Big Brother, and I think the warmth and affection for you was even surprising to you. Was it shocking to see how many of us still love and care for you?
Yeah, it was absolutely wonderful, and, you know, I really wanted to do that show because I've been working abroad quite a lot the last, let's say, 5 to 6 years, and I want to work a lot more back in Great Britain. I really do. My mum is getting older. I've got family that I miss. Of course, I see them, but you know, I've got to the kind of the age now. Please, I sound old, but got to the age now where I really want to be at home more.
Right.
In the country I love, and be around my mum, especially my mum getting older. Yeah, I want to cherish every moment that we've got together, which I've always have. But by doing Big Brother, I thought it'd be a great stage for me after all these years to go on there and see if I still are in people's hearts and if I can gain a new fan base, which I think is important because I'm coming out of a new album, a new book, and I want the new fans to read about me, learn about me, because I know there's a lot of young girls who aspire to do modelling, and there's great advice in my book for that. And also young people who aspire to be pop stars. And after 10 albums, I've got some great stories of the do's and the don'ts in the business. And looking back, I wish there was a book I could have read what said, don't do this and don't do that and da-da-da-da-da. There's still so many young people who just don't really know what way to turn when they get signed by a label, or if a girl gets signed by a modelling agency. There's so much to learn. It may not seem so, but there is a lot to learn. And, you know, I learned along the way and made great decisions, but I made bad ones at the beginning. And hopefully I can put them down on paper and warn the girls and young boys or whatever they want to do to don't go that way.
Do you think there's still a place for Page 3, or has that had its day?
No, I don't. I really and truly. Boobs are so accessible now, and let's face it. You know, why does a young guy or a teenage guy or whatever have to go to a newsagent, spend money on a newspaper to look at a pair of boobs?
Right.
And the sports page. They can go online and see it all for free. I mean, look, that's what's happened to the music business. Unfortunately, because that's my business, I didn't make. I mean, I got paid for going on Page 3, but how many papers were sold wasn't. That was in the interest of the Sun. But now my interest is making a record, and I want to sell loads because I want to be in the charts.
Yeah.
Or get all my record downloaded because I want to be in the charts again.
I was just listening to it. Touch Me is out this week, and a remarkable song that's going to do great in the clubs. I mean, that's the market of this single, isn't it?
It's doing great in the clubs, yeah, already, which the feedback is amazing. We released it in the clubs before we did radio and iTunes. So, well, no, it wasn't before iTunes. No, we couldn't. Oh my God, because the downloads. And the music business has changed, hasn't it? It's so changed.
And it's interesting how you've got to move with the times. I mean, is there any point putting out a physical CD now, or is it all about online?
No, I've got physical. I felt it was really important because you have your really die-hard fans who love to collect your CDs, and they love the pictures, they love reading stuff, the whole thing, getting the product. And you must remember when you were young, there was nothing more exciting than going to a record store and purchasing a vinyl, 7-inch vinyl and a 12-inch vinyl, and sitting reading if there's the lyrics on it or who produced it, who wrote it.
It was a day out, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you saved your pocket money. It's part of growing up. So on this CD, the new album's coming out New Year, so I thought, let's do Saint Sun before Christmas. So we've printed up lots of CDs. We've printed up 12-inch vinyl with a beautiful picture on the front and back. And also I've done picture discs